before that, a super jumbo flying from London to Sydney has been forced to make an emergency landing in Singapore after one of its engines was shut down in mid-air. The Qantas A380 was carrying 459 crew and passengers. No one was injured. The airline has now grounded all 6 of its super jumbos while an investigation is carried out. And this is what we know so far about what happened. The majority of the passengers on board the A380 started their journey in London, travelling to Australia with a stopover in Singapore. The plane took off then from Singapore just before 2 o'clock this morning, heading for Sydney. 6 minutes after takeoff, it suffered what's been called a significant failure, affecting one of its 4 engines, and it was forced to shut that down and turn back to Singapore. And as the plane flew over Indonesia's Batam Island, witnesses say they heard a loud explosion, then found debris scattered close to a shopping mall. Just under 2 hours after takeoff, the plane made a successful landing. All on board disembarked safely. The Chief Executive of Qantas, Alan Joyce, said the airline would not use the A380 again until it was convinced of its safety.
Qantas's priority to take safety as its #1 priority. We have decided that we will suspend all A380 takeoffs until we're fully comfortable that we have sufficient information have been obtained about the QF32. We would suspend those A380 services until we are completely confident that Qantas safety requirements have been met.
That's the Qantas Chief Exec, and former pilot Alistair Rosenshine told Sky News the extent of the damage was a real cause for concern.
It looks initially as if it's a turbine blade or a fan blade failure which has then done further damage to the engine. What is of particular concern to any pilot is the fact the failure was uncontained, and that means that it actually broke free of the casing of the engine and therefore may have done additional damage to the aircraft.
That's the Rosenshine there, former pilot. Well, as I was saying, the flight was bound for Sydney, and that's where our correspondent Ian Woods is, where they should have landed, but they're in Singapore, and 459 very relieved people on board that plane.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways they've had a fairly routine emergency landing from the point of view of the airline, and managed to land safely on the 3 engines that it is designed to do. And the fact that the fire retardant was sprayed on the engine as a precaution, and it landed and stayed away from the terminal is a precaution, as we said, but the passengers were able to disembark safely. And actually, the people who seemed to be most at risk were the people on the ground in this Indonesian island of Batam, who found debris raining down on them, and miraculously nobody was injured by that. But the significance of this, Dermot, is partly that it is the most serious incident affecting an A380 since it went into commercial service, and also the very nature of it, as that expert was saying there, it's a pretty catastrophic failure, because even though it hasn't caused the plane to crash, what we have seen is that it's been an uncontained engine failure. The cowling, which is supposed to protect the engine from debris spilling out of it if there has been a malfunction, clearly hasn't worked. The force of the explosion, whatever caused it, has caused the cowling to just rip away, and it is just pure chance that some of that debris didn't hit the other engine and could have caused problems there, or indeed the fuselage puncturing the aircraft itself, which would have caused more serious problems. And that is why the investigation is now underway. That is why Rolls-Royce will have some questions to ask about and to answer about what has gone wrong here, and why Qantas have decided that for safety's sake they should ground all 380s until the investigation is concluded.
Very much indeed. Ian Woods there, live for us in Sydney. And I believe we have got some of the latest pictures coming in, filmed by passengers on board there, and you can see a little bit of damage there. Ian was describing for us what happened with that cowling there. A little bit of damage, it appears, on top of the wing there, and catastrophic failure of the engine, as Ian was saying. It would have been catastrophic if more damage had been done to any of the major parts of that aircraft, particularly the wing, the fuselage, the other engine. But as it turned out, it fell to earth, causing a major hazard for the people of Batam Island in Indonesia before it's made a successful emergency landing in Singapore itself. All 6 A380s owned by Qantas now grounded while that investigation is carried out. And just for your information, we're going to be talking to somebody from Rolls-Royce about their procedures for these investigations and whether this kind of thing has happened before. For those there, the latest pictures, there are many passengers. You may have seen earlier, we showed you pictures of it coming into land and seeing some flames fairly evident coming from the damaged engine. Shut down very quickly, of course, there, and we are told with these and with 747s they're able to fly with at least 2 engines shut down. I think they can get into land even if 3 out of the 4 have gone, but I have to check that with the next. So there you are, the latest pictures. There's banking there and heading back to Singapore. And our top stories on Sky News today.